Hey everybody, how are you doing today? I am joined by my friends Jillian and Pahal. But first, let me talk about my favorite topic, of course, myself. My name is Kyle Dickinson. I'm your friendly host for today, and we're joined by NVIDIA and Jillian. What do we got going on today, Jillian?
Generative AI, and Pahal really is the star of today. So introduce yourself to everyone who's watching us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show here, Kyle and Jillian. Pahal Patangya, I lead developer relations for FinTech at NVIDIA, where I'm focused on growing the adoption of accelerated computing and machine learning within the financial services ecosystem and making sure that companies leverage accelerated computing to their end use cases and ultimately get values. So that is where I stand. I have a background in financial services back from in the past working with FICO, where I built machine learning models for credit risk and fraud. And
So you're responsible for credit scores throughout the world.
I would not take the liberty to own at all, but I know a certain bit of things.
And so you mentioned the keyword generative AI, and that is a term that you can't spend 5 minutes on the internet without seeing come across. Now, with like this, there's a lot of hype, there's certain euphoria, like this is the future, right? What makes it such a big deal?
Yeah, no, we are standing at a very pivotal moment when it comes to AI. Our CEO calls it like the iPhone moment of AI when it comes to adoption of Gen AI and all. And but we have to look at from a lens, from a chronology perspective. It was like back in 2012 when AlexNet was released as a deep learning model, and researchers used GPUs and accelerated computing to train those models. And that kind of sprung the interest of the community into deep learning. And as these years progressed by, cut to 2022, the advent of ChatGPT and LLMs has taken the world by a storm. Model sizes have grown by more than 3,000 times, and they have been accelerated by more than 1 million times. So what this has done is that it has brought the community together, brought the business audience together, brought the developers together to understand and see where you could use these into your day-to-day use cases. And it is particularly important from two viewpoints. First is that it's easy to use. Every developer, every consumer, every business owner can interact with the computer, which in the past was not possible. You have to write a program to interact with the machine. But thanks to the advent of large language models, you can talk in your own language and get an output in your own language. The second is that it has been democratized. The prevalence of accelerated computing on cloud and elsewhere has made sure that every developer who has the right capability to implement and take these models and build applications out of these can do that. And that in particular has rattled every industry, but also financial services. Now, financial services companies are thinking where they can integrate these capabilities into like their day-to-day use cases, into their different line of businesses, into their operations to ultimately realize KPIs which matter to them. It could be reducing costs, building operational efficiencies. It could be making sure that your time to value for your product is faster, etc.
So we'll
So
call, generative AI this giant wave that's taking us by storm, right? And keeping up with the surfer analogies. How would you say FSI companies are riding this wave? Sick.
Oh, yeah, very, very deeply. I think the expanse of generative AI in financial services is very wide, and be it capital markets, banking, insurance companies, every stream has certain top priority use cases which could leverage Gen AI. Now, talk about capital markets, for example. Now, capital markets have traditionally both use unstructured data as well as structured data to make risk pricing calculations, to make decisions on certain trades. Now, about this unstructured data, now they can leverage data from different sources in an accelerated fashion and glean insights so that it can help them make the right decisions when it comes to, say, building a portfolio, or say making a trade decision, or say calling a buy, hold, sell kind of rating from a research analyst. So in the past, there were analysts sitting who would be gleaning through like thousands of pages of information to make sure that they capture the most intricate elements for a company's financial performance. Now they can talk, they can interact with the chatbot to get that information in minimal time. So these kind of advantages have kind of brought in financial services, particularly capital market segment, to have a certain competitive advantage. Now, move to banking, for example. If you would apply for mortgage, you would provide herds of documents to the bank, and then there would be manual review workers who
One of the
would be
most stressful
looking at.
moments of my life was buying a house.
So these workers would have us have look at your credit report, have look at your income statements, your tax statements, and then finally input that data to make sure that your risk is appropriately calculated for you to be given mortgage or not. Uh, Cut to today, you're leveraging large language models to extract and summarize the information which is present in these documents. So what that does is that it augments the extra workload which these workers have already, and helps their day-to-day functioning, making them more efficient, and then they can focus on more higher and upstream tasks. Great win for them. Think about customer service at a bank. Now, you can have large language models trained on your own corpus, trained on your own language, understanding what is the intricacy which is very privy to your bank, and then help that database, that corpus, help the customer service agent who's on the call, who can, like, instead of searching, rather have a chat with an internal chatbot trained on custom data to fetch the right information to you in seconds time and not put you on long holds. Now these capabilities are transformational, and that is what is leading to banks thinking on how they can move their KPIs, maybe cut costs, maybe bring efficiency, maybe bring better customer experience, and all of these all of these technologies, Gen AI advancements, when married to the right and appropriate use cases, would be a game changer for banking and financial services.
I mean, absolutely. It absolutely is a game changer. It's something that I'm seeing. It doesn't matter if you're really a startup or you're a large enterprise in the financial services. There's really an opportunity here for you to be able to improve your customer experience. But I'm sure you get this question a lot. It's like, okay, this sounds all great, but how do we really balance human oversight and accountability? So what have you seen other companies be able to do?
Yeah, like, as exciting as this technology is, there are certainly challenges, and you have to overcome those challenges with the right frameworks. When we talk about challenges, it could be about having your own proprietary data. These Gen AI models, foundational models, are trained on a generic set of data. So how do you make sure that you customize these models which could speak to your own domain? Then secondly, you have to make sure that these models are within the guardrails. They are within the limits, that the output they produce is factually correct, is bias free, toxic is not toxic. And ultimately, you have to make sure that these models are not frozen in time. They get continuous information as we go further. Now, all of this is enabled. What we at NVIDIA are doing is we've built a framework called NEMO framework for data curation, training, and deploying of custom large language models, where you could adapt these models to your domain, implement it with the right guardrails, just like I was talking about, and mitigate the issues which I was mentioning when it comes to implementing these large language models in financial services. So Nemo framework is an open source framework for developers. You can go to NVIDIA GitHub and get details about Nemo framework and start building your large language model based applications out from there. It has great capabilities around connectivity with LangChain. It has guardrails. It has capabilities around parallelism techniques for training and ultimately streamlining and deploying inference with Triton Inference Server and Tensor RT LLM. So really cool things to look out for developers who are looking to build. And this is all available to be deployed within AWS through any of the AWS services or on EC2 instances as a whole.
Nice. I love it. And then you also mentioned, there's some resources that NVIDIA has available too on how to get started with these different things. So I'm sure the links will be dropped somewhere here, or they might be down here too, depending on how you're watching us today. So the other things that you had going on, you mentioned stale language models. Now, kind of taking that with the analysts, back in the day, like last week, they would research all these different data sources and then compile it to make business decisions. Do you think that there's going to be now tuning LLMs, large language models, to make these, generative AI solutions more precise or more applicable to their industry? Because if everyone's working off the same LLM, aren't they all going to be trying to make the same financial decisions and, have no competitive advantage?
Absolutely, that's bang on, Kyle. So what we are seeing is particularly enterprises being divided into two. The first is who are happy for their own use case, taking an open source model and doing some lightweight tuning and like serving their end use case. But where the crux lies in financial services is like banks and financial institutions are thinking extensive supervised fine tuning, thinking of techniques like adapter tuning, or thinking of techniques like reinforcement learning for human feedback, and making sure that these generic LLMs are super customized to their own use case, to their own data, and can do tasks which are like very much catered to financial services. So that is this second category is where the large part of financial services industry is honing on. And like I mentioned, Nemo framework provides these capabilities to implement such customization techniques as you are building and deploying large language models.
That's great to know.
Yeah, it is. It's really exciting. So we've heard Nemo framework. Any place else that you would want people to go to really just learn more and get hands-on?
Indeed. Go to developer.nvidia.com and just put Nemo framework.
We'll drop that link.
You'll get tons of resources, and there are a lot of developer blogs on blogs.nvidia.com about Nemo, and they would include the entire life cycle of training and deploying a large language model, be it data curation, be it model customized fine tuning, or be it deployment of the model. So you'll get more details and exciting updates there.
Now, you told me there was also some pretty cool events coming up too. Ooh. That you kind of wanted to spill the beans on. I don't understand that adage, spill the beans. Maybe someone in the chat can explain to us what that actually means.
All right, I'll try spilling some beans. But we have great collaboration with AWS, and it's been a continued journey. Particularly, some great events coming in financial services. Particularly, are there's Money 2020. Money 2020
for a financial service industry conference.
We are hosting an AI summit with AWS, where we are hosting experts from startups, from the venture capital companies, from large banks and financial institutions.
Oh, that's right up Jillian's alley. What's startup?
There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
And we'd be having some great sessions, mix of panels, demos, fireside chats, and it should be a packed show in Vegas on October 22nd. Wow. And at the same time, on a parallel end, we are also hosting AWS NVIDIA FinTech Accelerator program. Now, this is a program for startups in fintech who are building on AWS and NVIDIA. And then it's a 6-week program where we nurture them throughout on different capabilities, be it AI, be it go-to-market, be it scaling their platform and infrastructure, be it making sure that they grow into the right direction. This 6 weeks program is a nurturing campground for some really cool fintech startups, 50 from North America, 50 from Latin America, and 50 from Europe. So really great events happening. I think the program is underway with the first week on. And the fourth week, around 25th October, would be where the AI sessions would happen, and NVIDIA would be a big part of it.
This is so cool. I'm excited. I want to go. I hope, put in the chat if you're going to go. Hopefully some of you will see you there. I won't be there, but I wish I was going to be there. But
just to think, my math teacher said, Kyle, you'll never walk around with a calculator in your pocket. Well, we don't need calculators anymore. We'll just have these large language models doing the math for us.
That's right. This has been awesome, Paul. Thank you so much for being here on AWS On Air.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, Pahal, you take care.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have a very, very exciting bit to this as well, where we're going to be talking with our friend with the power of technology.
Hi, Kyle. Hi, Julie.
We rise him from the background. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
Are we talking to a generative AI model too, or is this the actual real Jihong?
Well, you can guess. Probably the Gen AI is able to fool you today.
Oh, yeah. Put in the chat. What do you think? But let's talk about Triton and Tensor RT. So for those who aren't familiar, what are they and what are the use cases for them?
Yeah, sure. So actually, before I get started, would you mind if I share some slides?
Oh, yes.
I will go ahead. I'll hit a button.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Let me know if you guys can see it now. So Triton and Tensor RT are actually the tools that we will be running underneath today. But just from a higher level, I just want to talk about large language model as a starting point. I know that Gen AI get everyone exciting, but the AI story actually starts way before that. Ever since the transformer models become very popular, we are seeing a great change in the AI world. It started with the natural language processing use case, but soon enough, we find that it's applicable to a bunch more industries. And then we are seeing it revolutionizing all kinds of workload, including computer vision, NLP, biomedics, and a lot more. So in this slides, I'm showing the kind of evolution trees, which is showing the whole ecosystem of how large language model evolving over time. And in this slides, as you can see, we are seeing some of the most popular models that's currently in use by tons of industries, including Llama, ChatGPT. I'm sure most of you guys already try it out, and it's truly astonishing, especially when the new capabilities of ChatGPT, where you can use voice input to talk with it to really enjoy a very interactive session.
Who says I need friends? I can just talk to ChatGPT.
Yeah. I've got a clarifying question on this chart. So we're looking at time on the y-axis. I had to think about what that was. And then what exactly are there certain, is it the colors or is the thickness of the line? Does that represent something?
I think this is more of a trend that with recent year, you are seeing the tree basically being exploding. You can see since 2018, there's actually only 1 or 2 models. And then in 2019, there's a few more. But in the latest time, in the most recent time, you can see the tree is really blossoming. You can see all of those models just exploding in this area.
I'm no arborist, but I'm pretty sure that tree's going to topple over.
Yeah, definitely. That's just generally how a tree grows, right?
And that's incredible. I mean, it shows the growth, no tree puns intended, of how popular these generative AI and large language models are coming to be. And with NVIDIA, you're providing a lot of great solutions, from startups to be able to get started in the fintech industry, with hands-on help from the experts at NVIDIA, right? And
Yeah,
AWS to get started. And so, I mean, I'll be honest. I was one of those generative AI, oh, it's a fad kind of thing. Not really a fad, but it's just like there's so much around this. Where do you even start? So it could be almost kind of overwhelming to get your feet wet. Instead of getting your feet wet, you're almost feeling like you're getting shoved into the deep end with all this information that's just coming at you.
yeah, definitely. I'm actually glad you asked. That's why NVIDIA is here to help today. So I'm super glad to introduce you about the NeMo framework, which is the end-to-end solution that can help you all the way from data curation, distributed training, model customization, accelerated inference, and also guardrails to avoid tons of problematic behavior people are seeing in these large language models. So I'm confident with the help of NVIDIA's NeMo framework, most customers, even the small business, the startups, everyone can enjoy the benefits of large language model AIs.
I could finally say I found Nemo.
Yeah.
What does Nemo stand for?
That's actually a great question. I don't know on top of my head, to be honest.
That's fine. We'll just ask
Yeah.
ChatGPT later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then just a question. So, is the framework, is it more like recommendations and like best practices, or is there some actual like code, like a infrastructure as code that deploys maybe each of these aspects here, whether that's like guardrails or the infrastructure for model customization?
Yeah, definitely. So NeMo framework is actually an ecosystem we are building on top of large language models. And underneath it, we can actually break it further down to see all the building block of it. So just as you mentioned, for distributed training, we have the actual NeMo Megatron, which helps you to train the model. And then from the inference side, we have Triton and Tensor RT, which help you to manage the model serving as well as accelerate the runtime to make sure that your customers are getting the best user experience. And also we have guardrails, which help you to avoid common problematic behavior like hallucinations and others in the actual deployment to make sure that your deployment is secure and can deliver the actual outcome you envisioned.
And so, coming from the security background, a lot of folks are like, oh, Kyle, security, whatever. But I think that's also one of the very important topics that we hear about very frequently is guardrails when it comes to tuning large language models and utilizing generative AI. So this is building in guardrails while you are developing on this NeMo framework. Did I get that right?
Actually, it's more about when you are doing it in actual use cases. It's actually kind of the safeguard that's preventing it of generating all the undesired results for you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And how does this like interface with Triton and Tensor RT?
Yeah, I'm actually glad you asked. So basically, Triton and Tensor RT is part of the accelerated inference here, but Guardrail is kind of another layer on top, which is interacting with the Triton and Tensor RT to make sure the results it's outputting will be a safe and verified results. So it can be kind of add-ons on this accelerated inference. So depending on your use case, and then of course your industries, you might have very different rules you want to apply for these guardrails, right?
And so not just for the financial industry, but for your particular industry, so like manufacturing, automotive, gaming, financial services.
Yeah, basically every industry will have its own rules. Just taking the financial, for example, Sometimes if you're only taking a public model, I don't think it's recommended even to do any recommendations on any financial side, right? But of course, if you're customize your model already with some financial expertise, then probably you can relax the constraint in your guardrail step by step based on how customized you did on the model and how much area information you're putting into your model. You can step by step enabling the Gen AI model with different kind of capabilities.
Really cool. And then so we gave examples of like manufacturing, but what about other use cases, and is it also can be used for whether that's low latency or batch type of inference? I'd love to know more.
Yeah, definitely. So I would say when we are designing NeMo framework, we of course trying to optimize it for all kinds of use cases, including the real-time inference to help you ensure the best customer experience, and also the offline batch inference, which ensure you get the best throughput out of the service so that you can be very cost effective. So I think I can take a very good example. We have been collaborating with AWS on a spell correction use case. So at times you might not know, even before the explosion of Gen AI, we've been collaborating with AWS search team on the spell correction use case on Amazon.com. So when you go to Amazon.com and trying to search for any specific product, when you type in something, it's actually easy to have small typos in those. And sometimes it can be quite frustrating because some small typos can lead to very different search results for you. So that's why we are introducing this spell correction Gen AI models to help you prevent this scenario from happening. So in this kind of use case, previously we are having very traditional machine learning algorithms, which using the feature extraction algorithm to help you achieve that. And of course, as you can imagine, a lot of those features need to be hand-tuned, which is really tedious and also not having the best results. That's where the Gen AI can be helpful. And also, if you are only having a very naive serving solution, of course, you might be having a super long latency, which will translate into a very bad user experience. That's why AWS team comes to us, ask for our support, and then with the help with Triton and Tensor RT, we help them to greatly boost the throughput by over 5x compared to the naive charging phase implementation. That's where they are finally meeting their real-time latency constraints and can go into production. And this is currently running worldwide in all the Amazon market. So that's really astonishing. So even if you don't know it's happening, it's actually running under the scene, enabled by Triton plus Tensor RT.
That's so cool.
Awesome. That is really neat.
Did you know that?
I did not. I learned something new every day. And
Yep.
in fact, I've also learned from my chatbot named NeMo, ironically, that we are coming up on time with our friends at NVIDIA to talk about this really cool and just mind-blowing. This topic just still always blows my mind on what you can do and what the future is going to look like for the different industries when it comes to generative AI and large language models. Can we just pronounce it like Olm?
Olm.
Olm. And in fact, I believe there's a day dedicated to Large Language Model Day, Olm Day. Do you have any details on Large Language Model Day, LLM Day, Jihyung?
Well, I don't know, but in NVIDIA, we're actually having an LLM Developer Day. So hopefully with the attendees of this event, that can help you to bring this on day earlier.
Now we'll probably drop a link to how to register for that. When is that?
It's November 15th.
November 15th.
Yeah, just 4 months from now.
First or possibly second, depending on if you've already known about it. But there you go. And we'll probably drop a link in the chat down there, up here, somewhere. 360. All right, Jihyung. This is breaking news. This is the first time you've heard about it. We'll just say that because that's what my chatbot just told me too. It's listening to me.
The best part, it's a virtual event, so anyone can directly join from their home, and
that is awesome.
Yeah,
You don't even need to worry about leaving the comfort of your home. You could sit on the couch, join Large Language Model Developer Day, November 15th. That'll be cool.
Yeah, this has been great. So Jiyoung, thank you so much for being here today on AWS On Air, and stick around because we've got more large language models, or if you prefer Kyle's pronunciation of coming to you next on AWS On Air.
Toodles.